Hello everyone, welcome back to Let's Play Great Ace Attorney 2. This is VDiffuser. In our last episode, we found out some hard truths about why Kazuma decided to come to Great Britain. Yeah, it all goes back to the professor case. Dr. Gorey, we actually came here to ask you about this. He was very good. Good? Sorry. His skin didn't snag my blade once. Very little mess. His joints dislocated easily, and his muscle tissue was a pleasure to work with. We can skip those details. But, there's one thing about the report that's caught my attention. You don't seem to have recorded a time of death. That's not my fault. Oh. That made me jump. Then please, tell us what happened. So, why doesn't this autopsy report the victim's time of death then? It's really the most crucial detail. I was told not to write it. Of course. What? By whom? Male Strongheart, the Lord Chief Justice. He came here. Lord Strongheart came? He said that from the witness statements about the gunshot and other evidence, it was obvious. The man clearly died at 5 p.m. on the 1st of November when a gunshot was heard. But that's not the time of death you wrote on the report. You didn't write anything. Was there some reason you didn't include it? Dr. Gorey, if you're hiding something under Lord Strongheart's instructions, then sooner or later, you're going to go the same way as your mother. Yep, that'll do it. Give it here, then. What's she scribbling so furiously? There. You've written... What's she written? Tell us. Indeterminate. But... Okay. What do you mean by that? What was the time of death indeterminate? When the specimen was brought in, it was still fresh. So the time of death could easily have coincided with the gunshot was heard. But there was one small discrepancy. What discrepancy? There was some fried fish in the pocket of the specimen's overcoat. And that fish had started to rot. Ew. Yuck. Da-da-da. Freaking stink like high hell. If the victim liked fried fish, he presumably liked to eat it before it went off. Well, yeah. What are you really trying to say? It's possible someone tried to manipulate the apparent time of death. Is that even possible to do? Theoretically, if you were to chill the body in ice, you could delay the onset of putrefaction. And if the overcoat wasn't on the body at the time, then only the fish would have started to rot. Oh boy. With today's science, it's not yet possible to determine if the body was chilled or not. But it sure will be later, because a whole lot of people are gonna do it in the Ace Attorney universe. Today's science is advanced enough to let you freeze a corpse, it seems. But surely, to chill a corpse like that would require an enormous electrical refrigerator. And I don't imagine any households in London are equipped with such a device. No, definitely not. Maybe in a factory, or some other special place. I don't recall seeing any factories or such like on Fresno Street, though. I wonder if the inspector's body had been chilled somehow. What might the actual time of death have been? I couldn't say for sure. But at the most, it might have been a day earlier. No! In other words, it would corroborate your previous deduction, Mr. Naruhodo. That Inspector Gregson was killed the day before his body was discovered at a different location. We were on the money. Did you inform Lord Strongheart of this possibility? He simply said that there were no electrical refrigerators of that size in the vicinity. Oh yes, one other thing. It's something the governor of Barclay Prison told us. He said your mother, Dr. Seeth, was responsible for confirming the death of the professor after his execution. The professor. Apparently you always enjoyed listening to your mother's stories about her work, so we were wondering if you might know something about what happened 10 years ago. That's not all Mama did. Sorry? My mama carried out the autopsy of Klint Van Zieks as well. Oh. Really? The brother of Lord Van Zieks. The professor's final victim. The idea of carrying out an autopsy on a member of the aristocracy was completely unthinkable back then. But the detective in charge of the investigation insisted, and it was miraculously authorized. That detective being Inspector Gregson, of course. Quite an accomplishment for one man. What do you want to bet it wasn't? That autopsy provided the vital clue needed to arrest the killer. And Mama was there for that historic event. What does all this mean? You know, that amazing autopsy happened right here in this very room. The professor and Klint Van Zieks. They both spent their final moments before their burial on that dissection table there. So this lab, Mama's lab, was instrumental in some of the country's most important events. She really is proud of her mother. I wonder if you tell us more about exactly what happened back then, Dr. Gorey. Alrighty, here we go. Klint's autopsy. The confirmation of death. The professor's execution was Mama's first big case. She had to be in attendance at Barclay's prison execution chambers and sign the certificate to confirm the convict's death. Mama's the best coroner in the world, you know. I was so proud of her. But the execution didn't actually take place. No, and worse still, Mama actually helped with the jailbreak. I didn't want to know. Oh dear, you found out recently, you mean? I believed in her and Mama, but now I wonder if I'm starting down the same path as her. You mean because you omitted the time of death on this autopsy report. But that's because Lord Strongheart forbade you from including it. Just like Mama, I'm sure she was coerced by somebody too. Yes, that's my feeling as well. There's no doubt that there were powerful forces at play 10 years ago. The execution couldn't have been staged without a lot of people at the prison knowing about it. Obviously, the prison governor must have been on it as well. The big man with the little handcuffs, according to what he told us. He was tricked by the chief warder. He says he knew nothing about it. Of course he said that. I'd say the same thing. Just who was behind that jailbreak all those years ago? Klint, yeah. You mentioned the autopsy of Klint Van Zieks. This is the juicy stuff. I was at the time when carrying out autopsies of murder victims was very unusual. It's still not a practice that's observed in our country, even now. It turned out that he was the professor's final victim, and when the autopsy was performed, Mama was present, although only as a secondary assistant. The person leading the procedure was called Dr. John H. Wilson. That's right, my daddy. And there was one other person present, the primary assistant. He was a visiting student from the Far East. Wait, a visiting student? It must have been my father, Yujin Mikatoba. I had no idea Professor Mikatoba had been involved in something so important. But the outcome of that historic autopsy was the discovery of a vital piece of evidence that led to the capture of the professor. I wonder about that. I wonder. Do you happen to know anything about that piece of evidence? Can you tell us any more? Would you like to see the records for yourself? Would that be alright? What's the point of keeping records if people can't look at them? They're filed under V at the back of those cupboards, with the other records from the last decade. Thank you! Let's see, Van Zeeks. Van Zeeks. That's strange. What, Mr. Naruhodo? They aren't here. There's nothing under Van Zeeks. There must be. Perhaps somebody took them away? No. No one's allowed to take documents related to the professor case out of this room. But you're right. They're gone. Somebody's covering something up. Well, when was the last time somebody looked at them? Do you remember? It was... Oh yes, I remember now. It was 2 years ago. A consulting detective came one day saying that he'd like to see the records. Oh great, it's freaking Holmes. Herlock Sholmes was his name. Deep down I knew that was coming. Do you think he stole the records? Oh no, surely not. Iris, that can't be right, can it? Iris? What up? Bruno? I hope you don't mind, but... What is it, Iris? I just remembered something very important that I have to do. I'm gonna have to leave you now. This is very sudden, Iris. Well, we'll come with you then. Oh no, 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 there's no need. You and Ryuno can take your time here. Bye for now then. Good luck. She knows something. Wait a minute, little girl. Me? I remember now. You've been here before, haven't you? Have you, Iris? Yes, 2 years ago, when that detective came. You were with him, weren't you? You were a living specimen then, too. That's the way it usually works, yes. Was I? I really don't remember. Anyway, sorry, but I must dash. Wait, Iris. I'll brew up for you when you get home. What's the matter with her? She's behaving really strangely all of a sudden. Well, in that case, we won't keep you any longer either. It's been quite a while since I had any visitors. That was really fun. But next time you come, I'd prefer it if you were ready for dissection. I can't make any promises, sorry. It's a bit strange the records of Klint Van Zeek's autopsy have disappeared. But I think we've all asked all we came to ask now. It's time for us to leave. Alright, it's time for us to go to Fresno Street again. The police are still busy investigating here, then. But Gina's nowhere to be seen. Where is she? Yeah, it's been blissfully quiet, hasn't it? Perhaps she's out investigating on her own, practicing with what her boss taught her. Well, I suspect she'll be back before too long. Shall we wait? Actually, There's something different about this room since the last time we were here, isn't there? We could always use the time to investigate more thoroughly. Yeah, that trunk wasn't here last time. This little trunk wasn't here before, was it? Oh, it appears to be made of metal. Must be very heavy. I wonder to whom it belongs. There are some initials on the outside. Look. TG. It's great. Oi! What do you think you're doing? There she is. That's my trunk it is. Hands off. Where are you hiding? I don't know. You leave something unattended for a few seconds and every Tom, Dick, and Harry's got his greedy eyes on it. Just a wild guess, Gina, but... What? Spit it out, Otto. Is it fair to say that you've only owned that trunk since this morning's trial? What? What are you trying to say? Come on, this trunk goes with me everywhere. Always has. Where have you been the last year? Trying not to incur your wrath, mainly. Alrighty, back up we go. You should hear them talking to the yard now. They should be ashamed of themselves. They're saying that it was the boss who killed all them bludgers. You mean the whole Reaper thing? Yeah. Apparently the boss was investigating stuff no one else at the yard knew nothing about. Stuff to do with all them criminals what got off scot-free. The ones who prosecuted by Lord Van Zeeks who used bribery and corruption to evade conviction. Well then, obviously, it was a bloomin' Reaper giving the orders, wasn't it? But, why would people be suspecting Inspector Gregson of being involved in the killings? There was a notebook hidden in his office. Oh no, this doesn't sound good. It had details about all the crimes that had been pegged as the Reaper's work. What? Oh no, did you see it, Gina? Did you see that notebook? They wouldn't flamin' let me, because I'm just an apprentice apparently. It was me who found it, and he was my boss. That's right. I was pretty miffed about it, so I sneaked to peek out what it said anyway. Well, that's our Gina. So, you managed to see what was written in Gregson's secret notebook anyway, did you? Well, I see it. It's my Roger read what he wrote. And what had he written, Gina? Dates, times, places, names, and a whole long list of them. All details about the bludgers supposed to have been done in by the Reaper. But there could be an explanation for that. Perhaps it was a record of the inspector's investigations into the Reaper's activities. Exactly! That's what I said. That's the first thing you think, right? As it happens, it was full of names I recognize anyway. Well, the Reaper's targets were almost exclusively known leaders of London's criminal underworld. Well, yeah, but there was one name right at the end that was a bit odd. At the end of the list, you mean? I'm pretty sure the date against it was 31st October. The day before the inspector was found dead. So what was the odd name? It wasn't like a name I've seen before. It was something like, nah, it's no good. I can't remember it. I don't think it was an English name, put it that way. Oh dear. That's not good. There's something else too. I don't know if it matters, but the same name kept coming up over and over and over again. Shin it was. Don't suppose it means anything, but Asa Shin. Did you say Shin? Hey! What does this mean, something? Lord Van Zeeks knew the name too. You mentioned her as well. The woman who actually did the deeds. And now we find out her name appeared in Gregson's secret notebook. We haven't seen you for a little while, have we, Gina? Well, of course not. I've been busy, ain't I? Investigating and all that. The lads at the yacht are trying to trace the boss's movements the day before it happened. The day before... Now, that would be the undercover investigation at the Red-Headed Lake, then. Only the boss didn't go, did he? You found some cove what was pretending to be him, didn't you, Odo? Yep, that was Daily Vigil. Well, anyway, you ain't the only one turning stuff up. I got my own ways of getting results. With me and my partner get together, there's nothing we can't track down. Oh, little Toby. Such a faithful friend. So, have you tracked anything down then? What do you think, eh? Of course we have. Can't tell you though, police business. Ugh. Anyway, the point is, if you lot ever need any help... You know what it's time to do, right? Me and a hellhound here. Right. Because he looks oh so hellish, honestly. Gina, about your hellhound here. Chief Inspector Toby, you mean? He's a pride of the force, he is. In Japanese, police dog means something quite different, and not altogether nice to those involved in crime. But here in Britain, it's a wonderful compliment, it seems. For a canine, at least. It should be, after all, in the great exhibition case the other day. It was Toby here who managed to locate Drebber's workshop. Maybe it's time for another demonstration of what this superdog can do, eh? Do we have something the Chief Inspector could catch the scent of, I wonder? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. The hairpiece. If you wouldn't mind having a sniff of this. You might be a little too keen, don't you think? Well, he made short work of Gina there. Look what he's gone to. Oh my, that trunk clearly has a very strong scent. Of Inspector Gregson. In other words, it must have belonged to him. Oh, well, right, it's a fair cop, I suppose. And you nearly got away with it, too. You always talk so proudly of Chief Inspector Toby's nose and what it can achieve. Did it not cross your mind he might identify something that was right next to us? Yeah, that was a bit of a bloomer, wasn't it? That's enough now then, Gina. Right. I think it's time you told us the truth about that trunk. It wasn't like that. It just weren't. What are you talking about? I know what's going through that head of yours, but that ain't what happened. Alright then. What did happen? Well, like I said before, we were trying to trace the boss's movements. So I let Toby have a whiff of the boss's overcoat. And as soon as I done that, he went off like a shot. Straight to that sandwich. To a sandwich? Not to a bag of chips? No. The witness! Oh, I forgot about that sandwich. Yeah, he had it hidden between them wooden boards of his. The boss's trunk. When they heard the sound like a gunshot and all piled in there. Exactly. He nabbed it from the scene. Goodness. Me and the chief inspector gave that sandwich a good grilling, and you know what he said? I thought it might fetch a good price, and the chap wouldn't be needing it anymore, so... But that's all I did, nothing more, and nothing less. Would you have any of the cheek of it? Stealing the dead boss's stuff to flog. So Miss Venus wasn't the only one to meddle with the scene of the crime, then. How could they? So anyway, that's how it happened. Hey, you did that once too, once upon a time. And it's a pretty decent trunk, so I figured I might as well make use of it. Is something wrong with that, eh? Well, maybe you and Mr. Sandwich should try to find the answer to that question together. I think perhaps that trunk should be turned over to the police, don't you? What are you on about? I am the police. Gina, if you wouldn't mind, could we maybe examine it? Yeah, alright then. Do what you want with it. Alright, time to examine it. What's the matter with Toby? Why is he acting so aggressively towards me all of a sudden? Be careful, it must be that trunk. Oh boy! Oi, what are you doing? You're gonna lick his face off. Quickly, hail a carriage. Wow. I didn't know this game had jump scares. Are you alright? Mr. Sato? Conscious again at last. Blessed relief, my dear fellow. After all, to drop dead after a moderate licking by a small terrier. Most unseemly. What is or isn't unseemly is irrelevant here, Mr. Sholmes. I'm glad there's no lasting damage. How are you feeling? Thank you. Did you bring me back here? What's this on my head? A bandage? Sadly, we had no ice. So that's a compress of sugar water. Sugar water? Don't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. It's a first aid treatment that my father taught me. Oh, thank you. So, let us take tea when you're feeling up to it. But of course, no sugar in the patient's cup. The pump on my head is throbbing smoothly enough, don't worry. Tea. Whenever you feel ready, then. Alright, what have we got on this? Hello. Let's have a look inside. There's something inside. The passport, authorizing him to travel overseas. It was the travel of the 31st of October, one day before the incident. France. He went to France the day before his body was discovered. There is a sliver of metal. There is a gash here. gone right through the leather and into the metal behind it. For a metal chest like this to have been so badly damaged, whatever made the gash must have struck the side of the truck with considerable force. And we have blood. Yep, it's blood. I knew you were going to say that. So that presumably means this was present at the scene when Inspector Gregson was killed. If I didn't know any better, I suppose it does look like a grease stain from all the fish and chips. And we will figure out the rest of this next time.
Have no doubt, I'm in control. You may think chasing ghosts is